My cousin announced she was taking over Grandma's lake house at the family reunion, so I revealed something that made everyone turn against her. But what proof had I been holding on to? When my cousin Veronica stood up during the annual Thompson family reunion barbecue and clinked her beer bottle with a spoon, my entire body tensed up like a coiled spring. I could see that familiar manipulative smile spreading across her face as she positioned herself near the old oak tree where Grandpa had built the swing 40 years ago. "Everyone, I have an important announcement about Grandma Dorothy's estate," she called out loudly, her voice carrying across the backyard where all 57 family members had gathered from across 3 states. "As you all know, I've been her primary caregiver for the past 18 months, driving her to every doctor's appointment and managing her medications." The extended family started murmuring appreciatively while I sat there at the picnic table watching Veronica spin her web of lies like she always did. "Grandma has decided to leave the lake house entirely to me in her updated will," Veronica continued triumphantly, pulling out an official-looking document from her designer purse. "She signed it last Tuesday with her lawyer present. I'll be taking possession next month, so anyone who wants to visit will need to coordinate through me." My Aunt Patricia gasped audibly while Uncle Jerome nearly dropped his plate of potato salad. That lake house had been the family gathering spot for 5 generations, where every Thompson learned to swim and fish. But here's what Veronica didn't know. I work as a senior fraud investigator for the state's Adult Protective Services Department, and just 3 weeks ago, we received an anonymous tip about suspected elder financial abuse involving a Dorothy Thompson at Sunny Hills Assisted Living Facility. When I pulled the case file and saw my own grandmother's name, I immediately recused myself from the official investigation, but not before seeing some extremely troubling patterns in her recent financial transactions. Veronica had been systematically draining Grandma's savings account, making transfers of exactly $9,500 every 2 weeks to avoid the $10,000 reporting threshold that banks flagged for suspicious activity. The timing perfectly matched when Grandma's dementia diagnosis became severe enough that she couldn't recognize most family members anymore. The absolutely worst part was that my cousin Nathan and his wife had been desperately trying to buy their first house after their 3rd baby was born, premature with medical complications. They'd been living in a cramped 2-bedroom apartment, barely making ends meet while Veronica drove around in her new Mercedes SUV that mysteriously appeared right after becoming Grandma's caregiver. I stood up from the picnic bench, my legs surprisingly steady as I walked toward where Veronica was holding court with her fraudulent document. "That's interesting about the will, Veronica," I began calmly, pulling out my phone with the screenshots I'd saved. "Especially since Grandma was declared legally incompetent by Dr. Harrison 6 months ago due to advanced dementia. Any documents signed after that date would be completely invalid." Veronica's confident expression started crumbling as the family members began looking between us with growing confusion and concern. "But what's really fascinating is your banking activity," I continued, now projecting my voice so everyone could hear clearly. "Those 43 transfers from Grandma's account totaling over $400,000, the ones you made after getting power of attorney by having her sign documents she couldn't understand? You can't prove anything," Veronica stammered, her face flushing red as she clutched the fake will tighter. "Actually, I can. The state investigator assigned to Grandma's case after I recused myself has been building a file for weeks. Detective Rivera is particularly interested in the forged signatures on the power of attorney documents. Turns out the notary you used lost her license 2 years ago for fraud." Uncle Jerome stood up slowly, his face darkening with rage as he processed what I was saying. "You've been stealing from Dorothy while she's sick? The Mercedes? The vacation to Cabo last month? That new house you suddenly could afford?" I listed off, watching Veronica shrink smaller with each word. "All paid for with Grandma's retirement savings while Nathan's family can barely afford groceries and medical bills. Detective Rivera wanted me to tell you she'll be arriving Monday morning at 9 sharp to discuss the criminal charges," I added, watching Veronica's hands start shaking uncontrollably. "Elder financial abuse, fraud, forgery, and identity theft carry serious prison time." The family reunion erupted in shouting as Veronica tried to run to her Mercedes, but Uncle Jerome and my father blocked her path while Aunt Patricia called 911. Nathan's wife just sat there crying tears of relief, holding their baby. "Thanks for making this family reunion absolutely unforgettable, Veronica. Grandma's real will leaves the lake house to all her grandchildren equally, by the way."